Hello, Leanne. You are
Hello.
live. You are live on Ashdown Jones and on the Sam Club at the same time. So we're multi-streaming today. Now, Leanne is coming to us live from not very far away from us. In fact, I'm in the Ashdown Jones office and I could practically wave to you across the field somewhere over there because you're in, tell us where you are.
I am in Low Lindith, so Lindith Lane, just behind the Windermere Golf Club.
Right, beautiful place. We are just saying this morning, thank you, that I run round there. So we're just checking that we're live in the club as well. That I run around there, and it's such a beautiful part of Bowness. It's absolutely lovely, and it's part of Bowness that most people probably wouldn't even call Bowness. It's more like kind of Winstery, isn't it? Yeah, gorgeous.
Yeah, and the postal system doesn't quite know. Sometimes we're Winster, sometimes we're Windermere, sometimes we're Bowness.
Well, we're the same because in our offices here in Clearbarrow, which is just opposite Windermere Golf Club, it's actually classed as Windermere. And if you see on a map, you can see why. It doesn't feel like Windermere. It definitely feels
not at all.
like Windermere, doesn't it? Yeah. Anyway, we're both living in a beautiful part of the world. We're very lucky. Now, tell us, so your business is based at home, is it? Do you have a home office there?
Yes. So all my customers tend to be around the world. So we've been very lucky that we work from home and have been doing for the last 5 years.
Great.
So it works out well.
So it's not much of a change for you then?
No, not at all. Not at all.
And so tell us a little bit about your business, Leanne.
So my business is Fresh Cut Digital. And what we do is digital strategy. We help smaller businesses to get online. Primarily if they haven't been online before or to be more effective online. So I do their copywriting, we build websites, but probably a core part of what we do is add automation to their marketing. Especially for smaller businesses, you don't want to be a marketer. You want to focus on your business. So our goal is to get as much automated as possible, and then also where possible to add a recurring revenue stream, which for some businesses seems impossible, but we've managed to do quite well with traditional businesses who never thought they could, but to actually add a membership or a recurring revenue stream to their core business.
Well, that's exciting and actually very needed right now, isn't it? So, by the way, I did not even know you did web copy, so we need to have a chat because I've actually just been approached by somebody who needs web copy. He wanted Tilly to do it, and bless her, Tilly is a fantastic marketer, but she's not a writer. She's shaking her head. And actually web copy is a very specific skill, isn't it? To be able to write sales copy. So somebody might think that they're good at writing. Maybe they could write a product description, for example. But writing sales copy for a website is a whole other world, isn't it?
Oh, it is, absolutely, because it's very much about that every word on the page has a purpose. Whether it's calling out to your audience, then framing their problem, and then making sure that call to action is strong enough. So I like that kind of writing more than maybe fictional or blog writing. Blog writing I don't enjoy as much.
Yeah, and I'm a blog writer really, although we do sales copy here as well, but they're very different. They have a really different feel. I find that Phil tends to do the sales copy and I tend to do the blog copy. One definitely feels more passive than the other. But I think most people just think it's a writer, so what would be the difference? But there are huge differences. And the same with things like your landing pages and all the automated and the emails and the membership sites and everything. They all need to have their own specific tone, don't they, when you're doing copywriting? Okay. So what kind of business would you normally work with?
So we've been quite lucky in that it varied. So I work with my husband James, and the two of us run the agency together. And we're very varied, from having done a whole marketing strategy and platform build and everything for a debt collection and enforcement company, right the way through to taking a leadership coach. And putting a membership site together for him to actually take him online versus offline. We work with some local charities, and a big passion of mine is food, which you might notice in some of
well, the fresh cut was a little clear, wasn't it?
Juicy, yeah. So we work with a lot of health coaches and health professionals on our sister website, The Coach's Kitchen. So varied, which I like, and I always try and find the common thread through those in terms of making sure that the actions are there, and they're just a little bit of tweaking.
Right. Okay. So it doesn't have to be a local company. It could be anywhere in the world. Obviously, predominantly people watching this are going to be local. But what have you noticed with your customers during the lockdown period? What are the changes that they've made that have been successful or otherwise?
So what I've seen is that there's kind of two camps. One is the ones that run and hide.
The ostrich camp. Yeah.
Yeah. Stop all marketing. Then the others that are being too bullish in just sell, which is completely the wrong tone. But the nice happy medium is the ones focusing on community building, very much like you've done. Building community, building relationships, strengthening those relationships, and taking the time to maybe put those revamped websites like we did, putting those automations in place, using this time to get ready for when we do open up, that they're actually 10 steps ahead.
And so on that note then, given that we're moving into transitioning out of lockdown over the next few weeks, who knows exactly how it's going to happen, the general consensus seems to be that restaurants, etc., may be able to open from the beginning of July. So there's going to be a lot of hospitality businesses around here. Danny's watching, he's one of them, who's maybe thinking, well, what marketing should I be doing now? Because I don't want to just suddenly have to go mad with my marketing on day of, lockout, if you want to call it that. So what can he be doing now that would use his time productively?
So primarily for those businesses, rather than starting to communicate with their customers just yet, I would wait until later, it's probably early June when we're a bit clearer. Right now, I would be looking at what offers they could put together for July, for opening offers, and whether or not their websites need a revamp or whether they just need a spot on their website to kind of celebrate the opening of lockdown. And so that collateral is in place. Those landing pages, the email sequences that go with them, they're in place. And as we become clear as to what's happening, whether we are going to open in July, then start pushing those out. The worst thing that could happen now is to put all of that in place, start talking about the opening on the 1st of July, and then we get told it's only 1st of August.
Yeah.
So
that would be,
I think it would be a bit premature to send it out now, but start getting prepared because we know it's coming. At least we know it's coming July, August versus December, January.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree. I, over the last few days, have been, because we work with estate agents and help them grow their businesses in quite, similar ways to the ways that you do. We predominantly focus on direct mail and content. And what we've noticed is I looked at individually about 400 different Facebook pages. Some hadn't been posted on at all this year, which is just them, their normal modus operandi. Some quite a lot actually. The last update was on 23rd of March, COVID-19, closed. And then there are some that are continuing as if nothing's happened. So you've got no context to the content. The very best ones, I think, are mixing the context and the content together. So they've got good community content, nothing to do with houses, so if it was a business, nothing to do with their products per se, but everything to do with, like you said, community building, or if they've got a wider community, like a national or a global community, maybe try and bring, some community feel to what they're doing. Is that, has that been your experience with the businesses that you work with?
100%, yes. And like you say, the community ones, the ones that are in context, the ones that are having a bit of a laugh or about extra baking or lockdown funnies, homeschooling, any of us with children.
Lockdown tans we've been talking about this morning.
So I think if you can contextualize around that, then that's the best way to go. And I've seen a lot of great examples of that. But I think that the companies that are just hard selling and carrying on as if nothing happened, I think they're missing the tone. There's no empathy. There's no, what's working is that we're all in this together.
Yeah, it's
And
not
when
very respectful, is it, to ignore the
yeah,
situation? I don't think it's not kind. What I have seen as well, though, is some local business owners that are either connected to their business pages or even through the business pages have kind of gone on little rants about tourists not coming to the Lake District. And, you know, tourists are very, very valuable to the Lake District. In fact, they are vital, as we know. And actually, to go on little rants, I don't think helps anybody. But what have you seen in terms of successful marketing during this time? What businesses do you think are doing it well?
Oh, you put me on the spot now.
I've definitely put you on the spot. You see, I don't, just so you, those people watching, I don't send out any questions in advance. I just think of them there and then and decide, how can I make my guests squirm with a really juicy question? So there you go, Leanna. I know you'll rise the challenge.
Right. So a couple of ones that have really stood out for me is House Fitness. They are the CrossFit gym in Kendall.
Right.
They have been brilliant at keeping the very strong community going. You know, they've got classes every day, twice a day, which they are streaming. They've got Q&As. They've even done a quiz night. And they're still attracting people who are now home who maybe never thought of doing CrossFit, and actually now is a good chance to give it a go. So they've been brilliant. The other one,
and actually, can I just say on that, you're absolutely right. People who've never considered CrossFit, by the way, you know, I'm one of them, and actually watching from your living room, and then, you know, maybe people not being able to see you in the same way as you're not going to feel so much of a fool, are you, by trying it out?
Exactly.
So I quite like that idea.
Yeah,
and I don't really like people either, so I'm happy in my living room on my own. That would be that sounds much more appealing.
I don't like people, but I'm streaming everywhere.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, just one way.
Yeah, so House Fitness, I think they stand out for me, hands down. The other one that's been really good is what are they called? Beans and Lentils. They are like a food truck, and they've been doing, so they do vegetarian food, and they do a little menu each Tuesday. You can choose what you want and they deliver it. So they've been really good at getting people to try their food who may not have known who they are or not seen who they are, and they've got a good community going. Who else?
Some good local ones, aren't there? I mean, we've got the Flock Girls doing the doorstep discos. We've got
I like that.
Lucy Nicholson, Lucy's on a plate. We've got Danny Thompson randomly planting chilies.
Oh, really?
Which I just found unbelievably compelling to watch. I don't even like chilies, but yeah. So we've got some good guys locally as well. I think that the people who have risen to the challenge, I think, will feel stronger coming out of this as businesses and people. And I think the people who have kind of gone a bit ostrich are going to have a period of ramping up to try and get through, you know, to get out the other side.
Exactly. I think their brands, their connection is going to be much stronger to the local community. And they do stand out. Rebecca Cropper's also done well because I love watching her posts, because even though whether she's in the shop drawing or at home, you know, it keeps you engaged. She's been great as well.
And she's just moved house. So
I know.
Happy new house, Bex. You've done very well. But even when she was doing her product posts, they just felt very, I don't know, just like kind posts. I can't really think of another word for it. A bit like Joanna Island, when she does her post from the shop, you know, we've got this shirt in 7 different colors. And somehow it just feels like a nice way to sell. It's like, well, it's here, you know, if you want it, I can pop it in the post or whatever, or I can pop it round. And it just, I don't know, it just feels like more of a community service than selling. And I think that's the key, isn't it? Try and get that balance right.
Yeah. You know who else I must mention, which I was really impressed with, is I was invited to a virtual spa party.
Do you mean SPA, not SPAR, I presume?
Yeah, SPA, a virtual spa party. And I thought, seems a bit odd. But the lady who does it, she sends each person in the party, so say 5 to 10 ladies, she sends us each a little pot of products, and she numbers them. And it posts them out, and we all get together in our comfies and PJs and that with a glass of wine. We zoom in, we have a little chat, She did a whole facial spa experience through Zoom, and then we obviously all got to try the products. And then she left the meeting. We carried on having a chit chat and a good laugh, and it was lasting an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it was just so much fun.
Oh,
and I thought that was a good way of taking something that's very in person online.
Yeah, that's really good, because all these businesses you think you can't do, online. It's funny, as an estate agent, because we don't have a high street office, some people call us an online estate agent, which is a bit daft because every estate agent is online, and they all have to have somewhere to go to. So, but actually, we can't do viewings. So there is an in-person part of that. Now, there are some agents in other parts of the country that are doing virtual viewings. And I was just talking to one of our team members this morning that has recently put an offer in on a house. And she said that the virtual viewing that the agent had done was very unflattering to the house. It's actually made her have second thoughts about the house she was going to buy. So there is an element of sometimes online isn't the best option, but then you've got to work out what you can do to keep the community going. So that's why we're doing these lockdown lessons. So it's our way of keeping our audience engaged while we're in this interim time before we can start viewing us again. So I think it's just about making sure you can pivot quickly, isn't it, and make sure that you can adapt quickly to whatever the situation is. So let's go on to your 5 tools, which I'm fascinated to hear. I want to know whether I'm using any of these, because if I'm not, I obviously need to. So go ahead, Leanne.
Fantastic. So I've chosen 5 tools that I think 2 of them are analog, not actually digital tools, but they are the core to every marketing strategy. And often we don't take the time to really dig deep into these 2 tools. And the other 3 are completely free. There are paid versions, but you can just as happily start with the free tools.
Great.
So I have started with an avatar canvas. Now, an avatar is basically working out who your ideal customer is. And once you know who this customer is, you know them very intimately, practically down to what brand of skincare or what brand of shirt they like. When you know that, when you know how they feel now and how you want them to feel, that's when your content ideas just flow. And that's when you are able to really connect with your avatar. So if you think about where we are now, because we have such a strong sense of empathy, we are all experiencing the same thing. That's why it's so much easier to connect with your audience. So if you can take your avatar and spend some time working out what are their pain points, what goals do they want to reach, where do they go to for advice, and what is the solution they're looking for, and where do they look for it? If you can dig deep into that, I think that puts you streets ahead. And that's something that you can spend a couple of days on now during lockdown, really delving in, researching, because it takes time to do it well. So at the end, I will send out a link to a worksheet that you can print off, or you could do it online, but you can print it off and really sit and think it through. So that's my number 1 tool.
That's brilliant. And so if you missed the beginning of that, an avatar is not a film. It's kind of like a sketch of your perfect customer, isn't it? I quite often like to have a picture in my mind of what they actually look like. So we've got these ideal clients called Pat and Vince, and they've got a golden retriever, and they don't exist. They're just in our heads, but they've got a golden retriever, and we know everything about them. We know where they bank, everything. And therefore it really helps guide our marketing, because then we know if we can read it in their voice and in their kitchen, metaphorically, it makes it more effective, doesn't it?
Yeah. And as a copywriter, actually that's key to writing good copy, because you are able to think like them, talk like them, use their words. And that's when your copy connects.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the printer because it's suddenly decided to start itself up with it's not actually printing, but it's just a bit noisy in the background. I hope you can't hear it too loudly. Sorry. Is it printing? No. You are printing. Phil is printing in the office.
Phil,
Phil, I'm really sorry. It's a bit noisy, isn't it? How many are there? Oh, right, sorry. He was listening to music and forgot I was on my lockdown lesson. Sorry about that. No, but I think, and I love the fact that you've started off with this, because when we do the Success at Marketing Club, that's exactly what we do. You know, we have to go back to basics. So, well, who is your ideal client? Because if you don't know that, you can't tell whether your marketing's working, can you?
No, and everyone is not your ideal client either. And, you know, sometimes we learn that the hard way.
Yes.
But also, if you target everyone, you get no one. That's a real rule of thumb. So the more specific, and I love giving names to avatars. So the more specific you can be, the better.
The only reason that we've got a name is because I was describing our ideal client to a lady one day, and she went, "That's my parents." And she went, "Exactly. They've even got a golden retriever, and they've got a ride-on mower." And I said, "What are your parents' names?" And she said, "Pat and Vince." I went, "Well, that's what we're going to have to be called then." Pat and Vince. They actually sound like a gay couple as well, don't they, Pat and Vince? So that is not normally my avatar. I might have to have a different avatar for that. But no, I think that is crucial, and I love the fact that you've started off with that. So thank you.
Yeah. So it's like your invisible friends, right?
Invisible friends, yeah.
So let's move on to tool number 2, which is also an analog one, and it follows on from the avatar, which is your customer value journey. Now, we can say, right, you sell houses. Fantastic, you sell a house. That's your core product. However, how do you get people to the point where they buy that core product? You need incremental steps as you go along. You need to create awareness. You need to get them interested and engage with you. You need to get them onto your listings list, as a good example, and then find them the right house. So it's very much how, I coming back to my love for food, I always see your customer value journey as your recipe. You need a hero ingredient, which is the customer.
A hero ingredient. I love that. Yeah. I've not heard that one before.
And you have to be able to mix the ingredients in the right sequence, in the right order, and in the right quantities in order to get your perfect recipe. And so that's why we base a lot of our marketing copy around a recipe, is because your customer value journey is your recipe for your business. So it's your step-by-step process on how you attract them, how you build a relationship with them. So you're helping them discover you, then you start building that relationship, and then they become your customers. And ultimately what you want is for them to become raving fans and to start promoting and advocating for you. And that's your kind of full cycle of your marketing strategy.
Can I ask you something about that? Because obviously there's the traditional kind of know, like, trust, try, buy. I don't know if you've heard that one before.
Yeah.
But I think some people get mixed up between what's a lead, for example, what's a prospect, that's all right. My dog probably will start, actually. It's normally when the planes go over the lake.
The postman's just arrived.
Postman, yeah. There's always something. Somebody drops something in the apartment above me. That normally sets him off. And it's usually during a lockdown lesson. So what is the difference kind of between, is a subscriber the same as a lead? Is a lead a prospect? What is that journey right at the very beginning, would you say? Hi, Joanna.
So the journey kind of starts off with potential customers. They are just an audience. They are so you've got they only become a lead once you've converted them from a subscriber to, say, your first entry offer.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So probably your first 3 stages, which is awareness, engagement, and subscribe. Those 3 stages, they are prospects.
Right. Okay.
The next step is conversion, which is that entry offer, and then excite. And those are when they are leads, and then they become customers at the 5th stage, which is your ascend, where you get them to buy that first core offer, and then you ascend them to additional products that you have.
Okay, got you. Yeah, I'm writing all this down.
Yeah, good.
No, I like that. I think it's just because it's In fact, it's funny, we're putting actually together something we call a customer journey, but customer value journey I like as well. And we're thinking, you know, because we've got a content creation and supply business for estate agents. And so what we are working on is, what's the first step? So once they get aware, what can we then do? And actually we have a free Facebook group with lots of resources in it. So that's kind of normally their first entry, or they'll come through a webinar or something. And then from that, it's just trying to design what would be a really good touch point, you know, nurture plan for them while they're in that group. Because they've already kind of put their hand up and gone, I really like Facebook. So, you know, that is probably the best way of engaging with them. But then how do we get them on an email list, which is probably the next step? And then at what point do we have permission to talk to them about our offers? And how is that permission, you know, obvious? And then when they become a client, they get put into a separate paid group on Facebook. And then we're trying to send them through all the different products we have. So it's exactly what you've just been talking about, but we've got a hole in the middle. So they come into our awareness, and this is where they come out as a customer. And in the middle, it's all that kind of, and that can last years, can't it? I don't know about you, but when somebody's buying a house from us, you know, it could be that they've been thinking about that house for a decade. It could be something they've got planned on their vision board they've had for 20 years, you know, their house in the Lake District overlooking the lake. So that journey can be a really long one. But if somebody's thinking about buying socks from Joanna Island, it could be a really short journey, couldn't it?
Yeah, so, exactly.
So can you just speak to that for a minute?
Yeah, so it's important that you map it out. So there are 8 core stages of the customer value journey. And it's often likened to, if you, on your first date with someone, if you ask them to get married and have kids, which is they've bought the house from you.
It's a bit Disney, that, isn't
they're going to think like, whoa, that's a little bit too forward. But if you go from first meeting to a first date to a cup of coffee to dinner, we're building a relationship. You don't feel quite so creepy.
You've obviously been listening to my Tinder updates, haven't you? That's where this is coming from.
Left. All right.
They're all left. They're all left, Leanne.
All left. So, and I think that with the customer value journey, and that's why I specifically chose this as a tool, is that people try and skip too many steps.
Yes.
So the
Agreed.
most you can skip at any given time is one. So starting at awareness, you could go straight to subscribe. But if you go from awareness straight to core offer, you've skipped too many, and then you're a little bit creepy. So if you can sit down and take this time to really think about how you want to lead your customers through, or your prospective customers through your customer value journey, you start thinking about the content that you deliver at each stage differently. And ultimately, each stage should have its own campaign and assets and collateral to go with it, because nobody actually finishes that journey on their own.
You probably need to explain what a campaign is and what an asset is.
Yeah. Okay, so a campaign would be so an asset is the graphic or the landing page or the lead or the giveaway.
Well done. Let's just bring it down a level. Right.
So it's about it. Those are your assets. So those are the things that attract people. The physical, you get the graphic designer in, you get the copywriter in, you get the web designer in. Then a campaign is taking that and saying, right, who is it for, and how are we going to deliver it, and in what quantity and how often. So a campaign is, are you going to do a Facebook post, drive them to a landing page where you can collect their email address, and what are you going to send that email address once you've got it? And then once you've got that email address, how many emails will you send over what period of time?
So let's just make this clear for somebody like Danny, who I know is watching. So let's say that somebody goes to his, he's got the Oakbank Guest House just very near me, and somebody goes to his Oakbank Guest House booking page. Now, if they go ahead and fill the form in, which I think is a request to book, I think that's right, Danny, and they either don't submit, or else they submit and then go AWOL, which sometimes customers do. They don't actually transact. What can he do to pick up those people? What can he do to nurture that relationship? Because he's probably got their email address because they've gone, you know, one step further than just landing on the page.
So if it's the first time they've come, we would send them either a welcome campaign, which would be a sequence of 3 emails that would introduce the guest house, introduce Danny so that there is a personal connection, because we prefer to buy from people, and then maybe a special offer, a 10% discount, or something that could be a little bit of an enticement to actually take action. If they don't respond on that, we keep them in our nurture campaign. So we would then send, you know, once a week or once a month, if you're sending out a newsletter, you keep them in, because the goal is to bring them back to the top to drive action. And so it's that cycle and that process of keep putting them back in the top.
And how often would they get emailed on average? So once they've had, and what's the difference between the 3 emails in terms of time?
So we've tested various versions, and I find that the British public prefer slightly longer spaced emails. So generally 2 to 3 days before like a welcome series. Whereas in America, you can send every day. And sometimes you stacking campaigns and they get 2 emails a day. I don't really like that, because I think that bombards people. But anything longer than a week or 2 weeks between emails, that's too long. Because people forget about you, because it's like you always end up at the bottom of the pile, because everybody else's emails are going on top and you're down the bottom, and when you email, you get to the top. So if you wait for too long, they don't recognize you. No. So, you know, that's where you're, without.
And so you're not building on the familiarity then, are you, from one week to the next? It has to stand on its own.
Each time.
Yeah.
And eventually what happens is they don't even see you anymore, because they looking at the names, they recognize that they see every day.
Danny's just saying, our page offers the opportunity to inquire or to buy, so both work independently. So I know that at the end of this, Leanne, you're going to make an offer to say, you know, anybody can jump on a free call with you. Danny, you need to be first in the queue for this, because this is exactly what you need to know right now. Okay, sorry, I interrupted you. Have we done, that's number 2, isn't it? Customer value journey. Yeah.
Yes. So just the last point on that is that nobody finishes their journey on their own. And it's not about just mapping your journey and then hoping that they follow there. That's where your emails will come in, your nurture sequences, your automations, because you've got to lead people and you've got to remind people to come back.
Right.
So that's why you do you map the journey.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So speaking of assets, let's go on to tool number 3. Now, I always had this dream of being able to be a designer, but if anyone's tried to play with Photoshop or Illustrator, I still cannot get it. They are mind-boggling because they're so complicated. But there's an amazing little tool that came out a few years ago, and it just improves every year. And that's canva.com. Do you use Canva?
We personally don't, but only because we use PicMonkey, which I personally prefer, but they're very, very similar. The difference, I think, the main difference is Canva is free, and then you can pay for certain assets, certain images, etc. Whereas PicMonkey is not free, but you pay £5 a month and you get everything. So because we use it every day, that's probably more cost effective for us. But they work in the same kind of way.
Oh, very similar, very similar. So Canva is very much a drag and drop. The free version is perfectly adequate if you don't need it that often. I use the paid version, which is only £12 a month, because I
good value, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, because I can store different brand identities for each of my clients within there. So their color palettes, their logos, and everything are there. They've now introduced background removers, so you can put a picture of me or you, or we could remove our background and we just be our headshots. They also, as part of the paid version, you now get unlimited access to their photo library.
That's really good.
looking at the quality of the photos and how easy it is to then just drop them into your design, I've pretty much got to the point where I'm about to cancel my Adobe iStock.
Yeah.
So,
and by the way, we have a full-time designer in-house, and we still use PicMonkey every day. She doesn't like it. She loves Illustrator, but we use it. Tilly and I use it all the time, and so does my assistant as well, my virtual assistant. And what I would say is, even if you're not any kind of graphic designer, you will look like a graphic designer if you use one of these tools. Exactly. That's how easy they are.
That's what I love. That's what I love. Anybody can look great, and you can build your brand from there. So especially for small businesses where we can't afford necessarily to spend 100, 200, 500 pound a month on graphic designs, and then it's like, do I or don't I have it done because of the budget? Whereas with Canva, you could do 100 images, and this cost you £10 if you use the paid version. If you use the free version, it's absolutely free. And I find a lot of people like to sit in the evenings watching TV and they play around with designs.
Yeah, me too. And actually, PicMonkey on your phone is free. It's obviously very limited, but if you want to just put some, it's a bit word swag, isn't it? You just put words on an image and that's it. Upload it. And I just love the simplicity. By the way, Marianne says, this is Marianne Graveson says, shout out to Leanne. We are working with her and she's phenomenal. But that needs to be in capitals, Marianne. Phenomenal. Okay.
Thank you. Brilliant. So I would 100%. Canva is great. It can give you consistency and plenty of inspiration. So I like that as tool number 3. Tool number 4 is the next step of taking your customer value journey and automating some of how you nurture people. So what we were just talking about. So you need to lead your people through your customer value journey. And so I like MailChimp. MailChimp is free for up to 2,000 contacts. Some of the automation is not available until you pay for it, but it's really affordable. It's also about, last time I checked, it's probably about £15, £20 a month. So it's not going to break the bank, but it's going to give you so much visibility into your audience, and you can create segments, which is dividing them up into new customers, existing customers, that kind of thing. And I'm going to be a little bit shameless here in that we're about to release our own plug and play automation for small businesses, which is going live on the 1st of June. But what it does is it gives you 104 different workflows and sequences ready-made. So you literally plug it into your website and it starts doing the automation for you.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
All the email templates are there. Your landing page templates are there. So I'm very excited about that.
Wow. And so is that going to be on a monthly subscription, or how is it going to work?
That will be on a monthly subscription. So you can do most of it on your own, but then obviously you have mine and James's guidance to tweak it so that it's right for your business.
And how much? Give me an idea of how much it is, just so people can tell whether it's going to fit into their budget.
We will have different tiers. One will start at £500. The other will be $997 a month. It seems really high, but it's because of the automations that are mapped. So if you were to go and have it done for yourself, it would cost you £5,000 up.
Yeah. So these are for sort of more medium-sized businesses and above, really, aren't they?
Your kind of big small business. Yeah.
Okay. Still worth bearing in mind, especially if you work for a bigger business, maybe, and you want to just drop in Leanne's name.
Yes.
Okay. So was that tool number 5, or is there another tool?
That was tool number 4. So
I
have one last tool, and it's kind of got a bonus add-on. So tool number 5 is Facebook organic retargeting. Now, this is a secret little tactic for Facebook, and we all use Facebook. If you go into your friends list, you can see that you can create different lists. So you can create close friends, acquaintances, but you can also create potential customers, brands you'd like to connect with, influencers that you'd like to connect with, people who are suitable for different services that you offer. So if you go in and create those different lists from your friends list and then start adding people to them, what you do is when you then put up a post, you tell Facebook you want this post to be seen by your potential customers. or your existing customers. And when you do that, you're teaching Facebook who are the right people to see your post. It also means that more of the right people are going to see your post organically. So it's a little easy way to get around spending a fortune on Facebook.
So that's only if they're friends, and then you would have to put it on your personal profile. Is that right?
Yes. Right. So some people, but you can also go in and make friends with people as a page. You can go and do it as your page as well.
Right. Okay.
So for instance, if you join a group or you like another page, you can go and like them as your page.
Yeah.
And then you're still creating the groups. So Facebook, although was traditionally, most people focus on keeping their close friends on Facebook, it is really useful to spread out more publicly as well, if you use Facebook for your business. So that's a personal choice, but we do see that it's really effective in growing your reach.
Yeah, listen, my Success at Marketing Club members, who are normally the biggest watchers on here, have heard me bang on about this for about 3 years, about how there's no such thing as business on one side and personal on the other. There is a big mishmash in the middle because people buy you. You know, people actually don't care that we're called Ashdown Jones or just even Ashdowns estate agents, as some people call us. They will just forget about the Jones. They just say, just want Sam and Phil to come and have a look at the house. You know, it's completely different to how it was 10 years ago, where corporate meant safe. It's not the same now, I don't think. And so you can really capitalize that on platforms like Facebook and Instagram, where you can be your person as a brand as well as your brand as a person. And I think it just makes so much sense.
I find that's far more effective. And if you can use so I find what people are worried about is, will my close friends and family think less of me or judge me by seeing my business posts, which is why they don't want to put them up. This way, you're making sure that your business posts that you don't want the friends and family to see, are going to the people that you do want.
That's fair enough. And actually, I don't think you need to be promo with it either, do you? You can just say, no. Well, I could make a post about, I'm just going to go, I've just been to see an amazing house today. I don't have to then say, buy it. It doesn't have to literally be a sales post, does it?
Yeah, exactly. It could be as simple as, look, I'm reading Bulletproof Diet today. Love this part. Put a little thing up about it, and decide who's going to see it. It doesn't have to be a promo post at all. And almost it's more effective if it's not, because what they are doing is letting them get to know you. And that comes right back to the beginning where we were talking about building community, is connecting with people.
I don't think people use a friends list feature on Facebook enough, because actually what you can do the opposite is true as well, isn't it? That you could create a nearest and dearest group, which is what I've got, a nearest and dearest list. And then if you mostly are public, some of them you can restrict then to just those people. And so I think that can really work as well. So if I've got 3,000 photographs of when I can see my grandchildren again, and I think actually all my customers might not want to see that, but I was going to spam all my friends, I can do that with a clients list. Clients list and friends list. So it makes so much sense. No, they've been great, and I've actually made notes, which is probably the first lockdown lesson I've ever made notes in. So
I'm very happy to hear that.
Good. I'm very glad. Well, as one marketer to another, I'm fascinated by everything that you've talked about today, and we definitely need to have an offline chat, don't we, when we're able to meet up again. It's not often, actually. We were saying this the other day, Phil and I. It's not often we meet a skilled advanced marketer in our area, but they are all hiding in houses in Low Lindeth and places like that. You don't even realize they're there. Okay, so you've got a very generous offer to make to the audience here, haven't you, Leanne?
Yes, I do. So for me, I love to talk to people. I love to help. So I would like to offer anybody who needs it 1 hour lemonade strategy call with me. We'll talk about what it is that your ingredients are. We'll brainstorm some ideas and get you going to getting your customer value journey mapped out. So it's totally free, no obligation. All you need to do is drop me a line. We'll book an hour and I will take you through the customer value journey, and let's see what we can do to juice up your marketing.
Fantastic. What does Oh, I'm coming if alcohol, says Joanna. Obviously, Joanna.
Oh, always.
You don't even need to check, do
Glass
you?
of wine. Great.
As long as it's past midday, it's absolutely fine. No, that has been phenomenal. I really appreciate it. And by the way, I know a lot of people don't like taking up a professional on a free call. We know this because we offer free calls to all our would-be clients, and so few of them actually say yes, because I think they think it's going to be a sales call. So firstly, it clearly isn't going to be a sales call. You've seen Leanne, share her some fantastic secrets. And two is, you'll never know if you don't actually open your mind up and listen for an hour. And as a local person, in a local business, I think that it's really important we all talk to each other anyway. So it's good to find out about each other, and then you can recommend and vice versa. So yeah, I would urge anybody listening to please reach out to Leanne, and let's put a time limit on this, because obviously we're recording this in, what date is it? 12th of May.
Oh no, don't worry. There's no time limit. There's no time limit.
In the next few years, then that's fine.
Everyone's kind of dealing with lockdown in their own way, and if at the moment you're just not emotionally ready to deal with this right now, phone me in July or August. Not a problem. But just, I am going to put up a link. I'm going to send you afterwards. And anybody who wants access to those, the avatar worksheet and the customer value journey, they can just download them. If you get stuck, call me.
That's brilliant. Somebody did say they're going to be in touch. Who's that? Ali Tordoff is going to be in touch. So I'm holding you to that, Ali. I'm going to ask you about that. I definitely think that Danny Thompson needs to be in touch. And also, I don't know if she's on the call, but Carmen, do you know Carmen Hunt from the Christmas shop?
No.
She's coming on tomorrow's lockdown lesson. I have no idea yet what she's going to talk about, but apparently she's got a good talk. And but she's pivoting right now. So I'm going to urge her to get in contact with you as well. If you can get the marketing right at the beginning of that change, it makes it so much easier. Otherwise, you're going to look back and think, I wish that I'd done that then.
Exactly. It just makes it easier, much, much easier. There's too much trial and error. Otherwise.
Yeah, exactly right. Do you know what? Our lockdown lessons are getting longer and longer every day, because I think our speakers are getting better and better every day. And I promised we'd do this in half an hour, and there's no way we're going to be able to in my questions. So I really appreciate your time and taking the extra time, because I think that these are just such important topics. But I hope people get in touch with you. And thank you very much, Leanne. We'll make sure we'll put all the contacts in the post.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Sam. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, my pleasure. I've really enjoyed it too. So thank you.
Brilliant.